This is your brother Reg. I'm on the block with the legendary Silk, right? Anybody on Castle Hill would know Brother Silk, right? I'm gonna call him Brother Silk, but they just call him Silk. They don't put the surname on. And I got my ass beat over there by the legendary Rucker. That's a legendary Rucker. You don't come up to Castle Hill without knowing the Ruckers. Let me see, Yada. You don't come up here, Baldy. You don't come up to Castle Hill without the Thomases, all of them. You don't, the Pierces. Yeah.
This is Reg. This is a good brother. This is a knowledgeable brother, man. He come up, he help brothers. He help a brother get 7 years reduced on his sentence, man. Anything you want to know, man, I come to him with problems, man. Problems, legal problems, man. He'll help you out, man. It's a very knowledgeable brother. I know him 30 years, man. This is a good brother, man. I know him, man.
30 years? You better walk that back, man. You better walk that. We getting 40
years. I don't want to tell my age. I'm telling my age.
50, huh?
If I know him 40, man, I'm lying about my age, man. I know him 40 years, man. He's a good brother, man. He'll help you out. If you need a problem, anything legally, he'll help you out, man. This brother's very knowledgeable.
I ain't gonna help everybody out. But this is a real dude. This is real family, yo. This dude saved my life a couple of times. Cause you know, one time in these streets right here, you get lucky if you get a one-on, right? If I was out there, trying to make sure at least I get a one-on.
That's
and
right.
I don't get banged out, right?
You're a good brother, man.
Right?
Reg is a good brother, man.
All right, so that's
from
it.
the hill, never ran, never will. Castle Hill, man.
That's where we from. Peace to the fam, peace to the fam. This is your brother Reggie. I'm rolling live with Baba TV. I'm back on my old block where I started from, Castle Hill Projects or Castle Hill Houses. I'm going to do a very, very special. I'm going to do Sex, Money, and Murder to Black Revolution. I'm going to tell you my origins in this neighborhood, the time period in which I lived in, and what changed and what happened to this community. Right here at 575 Castle Hill Avenue, right? Across the street from the center. That's the center. That's the basketball courts. That's the basketball courts. Everything happened. All the big fights, man. The Yada and the Milkbone fights. Like that was almost every Friday. Yada and Milkbone, every Friday, something like that. The Joneses, man. You got to know the Joneses if you from Castle Hill. You got to know the Ruckers. Who else you got to know? The Jones, the Ruckers, those family names, they go way, way, way back. Oh, you got to know the Pierces. You got to know the Pierces if you're from Castle Hill. That family go way, way back. You got to know names like Klondike. You got to know names like Rhonda and Silk. You got to know names like Bright. You certainly got to know Baldy, Amor, however you want to call him. You got to know him. You got to know, even from the old school, you got to know Blackjack. On that side, Will Moss and them. And yo, we standing on that block over there, man, that's General Yohanda's block, right? The commanding General Yohanda. When he was a young boy, he grew up on those blocks right there, like the back buildings. We right here on Randall Avenue, right? Now, on that side over there, we're going to give the brothers some respect, right? But Castle Hill goes down every day, all day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Something's happening in Castle Hill. There's always people out. At one point of time, Castle Hill projects or houses used to be the most dangerous project in New York City. And that was the time that I grew up. That was the time that I grew up. But for me, something special really happened. And that was the entree into black culture, right? But up until that point, I was a project rat. I was a savage, right? I was sitting on a block waiting for my next opportunity. But luckily, I I got saved. You see that diner right there? That diner right there is the scene of like Castle Hill's last big triple homicide, right? Right there. Came right out there. The dudes was eating food with a girl, came outside and got murdered right on the block. That's Castle Hill. Anything can happen in Castle Hill, but a lot of good things. A lot of good families here. A lot of babies were born. Hey, that's right. What's going on, man? How you, man? Man, I was just gonna mention Trade E, man.
What's going on?
I'm doing fine. How's he at, man?
Everybody's
How you doing
good.
there?
This is the wife and the family.
Oh man.
Blessings Baba TV. Fire every time.
That's how happy. Hey, thanks so much, man. Tell your family I said hello. Peace. All right, peace to you. All right. So that's how it goes down. So you can't tell nobody that Brother Reggie ain't from Castle Hill. You seen that, Baba? Could I line that up, Baba? No, I'm from the block, and they watch us. They watch us. My family watches us, watches what we doing. So I'm gonna do this Precursor, sex, money, and murder location show, right? Not that I'm glorifying sex, money, and murder, but it's something that happened, right? And it's something that our people got to get right. What else am I missing? Yeah, I was just gonna talk about Trade D, right? Trade D, if you want to know anything about the culture of Castle Hill, you have to go to Trade D. Now, you see that building right there? That's Trade D building. That's Ray Dean building. That's DJ Izakala's building, right? And that's where Just Ice used to play. And guess who else lived there, Baba? Remy Ma. Remy Ma lived there. Now, she was after my time. I had left the block. She was young, but she grew up because this is a musical building right here. This building right here, this is where you get that Harlem swag. So, you know, before all of that, Sugar Hill Gang, chicken tastes like wood and all of that stuff like that. We laughed at that because we had the Sound Master crew and the Jam Master crew, right? We had that was our crew. Even me was an MC, right? Everybody had an MC book. So we'll talk about that. But my name is Shaq. That's who I am. That's my street name. My name is Shaq. Right? I became Brother Reggie, I became Dr. Reggie, but on this block, my name was Shaq Shaq. That was my name, Shaq, from my MC name, because most of us, we had MC names, and those turned into our street names, unless we had a family name. Now, we had other people, I might mention them again later on, you know, other people migrated from this block, man. Bright, Green Eyes from the Preacher crew. He grew up here. Bright was one of our earliest that basically found himself caught up in the criminal justice system and went up north. And you know the story of Preacher, but we know Bright. Bright is from the block, right? Bright's a good dude on the block no matter what, right? Bright comes to all the funerals and stuff like that. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We're gonna drive around to my block, right? And we're gonna sit down. But as you see, people can drive up and down the block, right? And they know, because you know what, everybody trying to get conscious, right? And so I got a good name in my community, and I got a good name in general. So again, this is Sex, Money, and Murder, the prequel. The prequel. I'm gonna tell you how it goes down. Hey, peace to the fam. I'm here showing the audience my humble beginnings. This is where I grew up from 1971 to about 1988. To about 87, 88. This is where I grew up. This is Castle Hill Projects right here. I lived on the second floor. You see where the air conditioners are? Right to the right of that, right? All the way to the end. That's where I grew up. I'm gonna take you inside the projects. I'm gonna show you what it looked like inside, how it was kind of growing up, right? But yo, listen, people like me not supposed to be here, man. I've got second, third, fourth, fifth chances in life, right? And so I've been privileged, and for a reason. So I've been privileged to be able to do some of this work, to talk about ancient Kemet, to talk about black folks, to study under the masters, right? Because I got a second opportunity, because somebody somehow seen something in me that I can at least contribute and serve the elders and do the work. I was just up on the block. You already know, not too many people can go up on that block, right? But I got a good name in my community. I got a good name with the brothers, right? People knew me. I grew up here, right? I was always Reg. I was Shaq, but I was always Reg, a stand-up type of dude. But so a lot of people pop up. You don't never see where they come from and who they are, what makes them, right? Yeah. You could call me a scholar, you could call me a researcher, but I'm just a black man. And we have done incredible things as being black people, making our ways out of meager beginnings. That's my meager beginning here. I came from Newport News, Virginia, was born, came up here to Brooklyn in about 70, and then by 71, I moved into this. Now, you can look at Castle Hill, you can see how it was. Now, when we first moved here, white folks lived here, right? So the grass was well manicured, it was nice, because white people lived here, right? But then the white folks moved out, right? And this became what you call an experiment, a project. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the project when we talk about the prequel to Sex, Money, and Murder, and to the Black Revolution. So that's me, second floor. But Baldy, I got a good name with Baldy. He's a real cat. He's like my big brother. And everybody know the legend of Baldy Amar in Castle Hill, right? And might talk a little bit about it, but you know, sometimes we like to bury things, but sometimes things happen. So in back of the buildings, turn back over there, Baba. In back of the buildings, right? In back there used to be the old Castle Hill boxing, but it used to be number hole spots and pool tables and underground stuff. And Baldy got himself caught up in something at a very, very young age, maybe about 23, 24, 25, something like that. And he went away for a very, 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 very long time. But he came out a man, he got a family, and he's with a historical family right here. And listen, man, life goes on and moves on, but this is where we come from. So I'm gonna take you to the back of the building, I'm gonna sit you down, and I'm gonna sit you down in the area of the prequel to Sex, Money, and Murder. So if you're looking for real footage about how all of that started, at least on the Castle Hill side, I'm gonna show you the live locations. Peace. Peace to the fam. This don't look like much. I'm sitting outside my building in 2175 Lacombe Avenue, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about the prequel to Sex, Money, and Murder. I'm gonna be careful with my words and forget some of the things I think I know, but talk about some of the things I definitely know, because it won't harm anybody and it's all in the court cases. But I'm just showing you the locations. So if you ever want to film anything on the Sex, Money, and Murder in the beginnings, you gotta come over here to these benches right here. Why? Sex, Money, and Murder actually began maybe about 10 years or so before you hear about Sex, Money, and Murder. Pete Rolock, right? Petey from Soundview. But on the Castle Hill side, it started a little earlier. Actually, those buildings right there, those private houses right over there, it started, those private houses right there, it started those private houses right there. It was a childhood friend of mine. His name was Frisky. His real name Arthur, but his name was Frisky. And Frisky had one eye. But Frisky, man, he was always fast thinking. He was the first to do everything. He was trying to be a break dancer, a rapper, always trying to do something. I think he was from the Virgin Islands or something like that, man. At that time we thought all black people was black. We didn't separate ourselves, you know. Everybody was black, whether you from the Caribbean or you was just black, right? And so Frisky prior to that, listen, the block normally, they was just trying to figure out, what to sell in the streets, right? So they used to come to my projects, my building, people like that. They used to come in there, and they used to try every other week. They used to come with some other type of drug, man. I mean, it could be speed, man. It could be bunch of pills, Jello Jacks. It could be black and whites, and then it was hash, and then it was heroin, and later it was cocaine, and it was certainly a lot of weed. That old weed, Baba, that weed, skunk was famous around that time. I don't know if you ever. Yeah, but they didn't call it chocolate at that time. They called it skunk. And I'm talking about the 70s and 80s, right? They liked the weed that was real strong. They thought it was powerful. So they used to have this skunk that they used to smell. I wasn't really into that. But these were the proving grounds. So between this building and on these benches, almost every kid over here tried one type of drug, no matter what. Unfortunately, for the most part, I tried them all. Because the people that I was with, that was just the people that I was with, right? And we didn't get addicted to none of that, but we tried everything that they can. They used to come, one of the dudes actually had a out-of-town suitcase, kid you not. He had so many different type of pills, but none of those things would really stick, right? Until cocaine. Now, what happened to me was that I had some friends from another neighborhood, because I used to go outside my neighborhood every now and then, and I had a good friend of mine, and just to keep him out of it, right, we got to connect. Somebody had a habit, and we used to connect for that person, and we went down to Washington Heights. And when we went down to Washington Heights, this was when the Cubans was changing over to the Dominicans, and the Dominicans were hungry for customers. And here goes, well, first it was myself and my other dude. We went over there and we copped, and then, every Friday, Saturday night, I started sniffing. Just on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, I started sniffing, and then I started, fortunately, bringing it back down to the block. And then my crew, I'm just going to call them what the Dominicans called us, Jamaica and Boricua, and I'm, of course, Moreno, right? Jamaica, Boricua, and Moreno. We start going down to Washington Heights and start copping it, and we start bringing back little grams, right? The unfortunate thing is that start sharing it, just like we all shared things. They shared things on the bench, so we start sharing it, and then they find out that it's really good, right? So I can't say, and I don't want to say that I had a part in it, but I do know at some point people began to cop from Washington Heights, right? We had a good friend of ours, childhood friend, Turtle. And Turtle used to hang out with us, and Turtle had some friends. Anyway, at the end of the day, cocaine took over the neighborhoods of Castle Hill and Soundview, but it was powder cocaine. Right off the triple beam, right? It was bricks, cut right off the triple beam, and they was giving us as much at the highest quality to get us hooked, to keep us coming back. Anyway, Arthur, or Frisky, he took that to heart, and Frisky began an operation, and you could read about it in all of the materials, and of course the people that you're going to work with are the people that you grow up with. So all of our childhood friends, those that was part of his particular group of direct friends, they found themselves into this this particular activity. But at some point, Frisky, he took it out of town. So he found himself in North Carolina, in a group of people. They find themselves in North Carolina, and then they get a connect, and you could read the court papers. You could find out the dude name is TV something. I know his name, but TV something. And they start working with him, and then they started going back and forth from Castle Hill to North Carolina. Anyway, long story short, some of the younger people that's involved, I guess Frisky making too much money. Money comes with problems. And then we had competing project problems, and then at one point, another. What they used to do is the other projects and this project and other projects used to go and kidnap people. They used to kidnap you, run up in your stash, rob your spot, and most of these people, believe it or not, man, this was too new to us, man. We live with our parents, our mothers and our girlfriends, our families, right? So they run up in the spot, tie up everybody. Sometimes they just rob you, sometimes they just kill you. So I think eventually at some point, it happened to Frisky, but it happened to a lot. And I'm gonna tell you where it really used to happen at. Where they used to really catch us, man, the White Stone Capri. Anybody know the White Stone Capri? White Stone Capri, man, first hotel around here, man, with a whirlpool, right? Man, so that was the block thing. If you take your girlfriends on a Valentine's, on special occasions, the birthdays, or you just take, if you get money, you just take your girl and you take them to the spot with the whirlpool, but you come out there with wobbly legs. And that's when they be out there in the parking lot waiting for you. And they'll just rob you, stick you in the car, and rob you. Now, that was all going fine, but a childhood friend of mine, they tried to do it to me, and it's famous. And he's a childhood friend of mine, good friend of mine, just like Silk. Basically, they tried to do it to him from, I think they was from Soundview, and he was a little short, and they snatched, they pistol whipped him, and he's a real crafty, smart guy, one of the smartest dudes I ever met. Young dude, but he my little brother now. I ain't gonna say I'm smarter than him, because I'm not, but I'm gonna just say he my little brother. He learned some things from me. Anyway, the dude was pistol whipping him. He ain't learned this from me, though. The dude was pistol whipping him, right? And basically on the third smack, he managed to smack the gun out, grab the gun, and hit the cat, right? And then there was a big shootout in the White Stone Capri, but it was all self-defense. And the big issue was when he came out, they had immediately snatched him, they snatched his girl. They put the girl in the car, and he told the girl, don't go in that car, because if you go in the car, I can't save you, and I ain't going in the car. Because he was like one of these cats, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to kill me on my feet. You ain't going to kill me sitting down. You ain't going to kill me when you want to kill me. You have to kill me right now, or don't kill me, right? And that's what happened, and he's a legend. Everybody know who he is. Everybody know the case, but that case was self-defense. I got to be careful about telling a story. You could do your own research, leaving out the names, but that was a self-defense case. Now, unfortunately, in those same buildings over there, with Frisky, there was another cat. It was a close companion of him, and he turned out to be, ultimately at the end of the day, a confidential informant. And that was a problem between the real later cases. He became a confidential informant, and a lot of people became a confidential informant. Some of the cats in my building, one or two of them, they was actually connected to Sex, Money, and Murda Soundview, right? That part, they was connected directly, and a government put enormous amount of pressure on them because of what they had, because people started talking. And there was a lot of bodies, and a lot of and not all the bodies was there, but a lot of bodies, and in Castle Hill, this project was on fire, and basically, so this is the precursor to Sex, Money, and Murda. Frisky gets killed at a club called Sweetwater's. A lot of people I know was there that day, or said that they was there. I don't know, I forget, right? But basically, they came in and they shot Frisky in the head, and then I guess what happened after that was kind of a changeover of now some of the young cats who are hungry. Now they get to connect. They start going out of town. They do other stuff. And you can read Don Diva magazine. You can read the book on sex, money, and murder. But I'm going to tell you what happened right here. On these bitches, because these bitches, everybody fought. Frisky fought, man. Short fought. Uno fought, man. Ron fought, who you just saw. The Ruckers was on that side, so they fought in the center and in the basketball courts. The legendary fights of, man, Milton and I think Milton and Yada. You know, there's a lot of names, But when I was growing up, on that other side, that was I call that the Junior Murphy side, the Murphy brothers side, and over there was Johanna across the street, General Johanna. We weren't involved in that side so much, and they wasn't involved in this. But this became the precursors. Now there's some other blocks that's down here that was also part of it. Torrey, there's Screven, right? Because all of it, you know, it was kind of a neighborhood thing. It was like a connect. We got a way out of this. Look at this. Look at this. We got a way out, right? Look at these projects. These projects that look like this, shortly from the late 70s to the 80s, bombed out. We had a way out. Those private houses, they're hanging on. Look at those awnings. Those awnings are, oh man, they ain't been changed, man, since the 40s, right? They ain't been repainted, man. People had a way out. There used to be a Jewish synagogue. The Jewish people moved out. We had a way out, and unfortunately, we ain't know no better, and people took that way out. So, you know, there's a lot of famous names out here. There's Uno, there's Short, there's names like God, bless the dead, rest in peace. There's Ladu and his brother. And then the beautiful thing about it is, in these places, always grows out of the weeds, always grows beautiful queens. So we had beautiful young women that grew up, our sisters, our cousins, our friends, our classmates, our neighbors. And shout out to the women of Castle Hill. Shout out to the women of Soundview. Shout out to the women of Monroe, to Boynton, to Colgate. Shout out to the women in Parkchester. Shout out to the women in Bronx River, man. And Trio, right? Places like that, man. Sackworm, right? Shout out to all those women, because we had some beautiful women that went through this thing with us. Had our children, with our girlfriends, did the court cases, and people forget about them. When I was sitting on another bench in another project, it's a famous interview, on another bench in another project, right? We was talking about things that was happening to dudes along the way. What we didn't really talk about, and that's what I really wanted to talk about, was we never really talked about what the women went through in the projects, right? Because a lot of dudes get up there and talk about how many women they had and what they did. Man, it was all part of things like sex, money, and murder, right? It was all part of, it was part of the game, right? I mean, you know how many young people from the Bronx, from Manhattan, from Queens, from Staten Island in Brooklyn is in jail. You know what they're in jail for? They're in jail for the flash, for the cash to attract the women. The women they would not ordinarily get, not because of their looks, just because of their build. Because a lot of times, man, you got to be big, bulky, and monkey looking to survive in these projects, right? You can't be tall and slick, right? You can't do that, right? You can't do that in this neighborhood, man. You got to do your push-ups, your sit-ups. You got to be looking like a monkey, man. That's just what it was. And so when you're a gladiator, you may not be able to get some of the choicest women without that flash, without that money. And so that money, right, and the things that came with that money created the attraction, where you had some of the beautiful girls, beautiful women go with super thugs, not necessarily because of their looks. It wasn't really about that, but it's because it was power, it was money, it was respect. Because you know, when you living out here and you get to 17, 18, 19, and young dudes just all starting to drive cars, fancy cars and stuff like that, BMWs and foreign cars at 17, 18, and 19, man, I mean, there was a time, man, where women just simply just wanted to relax, right? Just to have a good time, to live out their fantasy. And a lot of dudes, that's all that you really needed. You just needed a nice car, right? And you had a nice woman. But the other side of that was some of the dudes, they didn't do it with the money, power, and respect. They did it with the rape game. There's something called the kind of the project pushing rate, you know, right? I ain't got it today, Pop. You got it? All right. Nice dog. Man.
He's friendly. He's friendly.
It's okay. It's okay. He's good. He's good. He's good money. All right.
Thank you.
Got a big jaw.
Come on.
All right. Yeah. And so unfortunately, a lot of young women got the staircase rape. Staircase rape is somebody waiting on your floor. You come out to do the garbage, or you half know somebody, and they grab your arm and they push you in the case, and then all of a sudden you in a situation where you raped. And you know, nobody's gonna tell that case. Maybe the women that come out one day and tell that case, man. But man, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women got raped like that. That was just, you know, some people think they was just playing, but nobody was playing. And so these are things that we have to live through, and we have to understand, and we have to redeem our lives, and we have to fix our lives, man. But there was a shout out again to the women and the mothers of these projects, particularly Castle Hill. Now, after Frisky got murdered, right, then how can I say, the blocks kind of changed. So whatever happened in the Soundview side, we might ride by Soundview, that became really sex, money, and murder proper. And there were a lot of little small groups of operating, but that was a crew to deal with. And I knew people. I definitely knew Ephraim. I knew who the twins were, right? But I knew Ephraim, right? E, right? I knew him, and of course I knew Zeppy in the building. But this was let me say 80. I was moving out of the projects about 88, so I ain't stayed too much of an ear with that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you some of the footage of some of the places, the Castle Hill side, the sex, money, murder. You can't do nothing without them buildings over there, right? Lacombe Avenue, you can't do that. Now Lacombe Avenue stretches all the way down to Soundview. There's a public school over there, 174. Now 174, a lot of the dudes from the Soundview side and the Castle Hill side of this side actually went to 174. So these kids made childhood bonds, and then they became later into organizations. But that's how you meet. Like a lot of people, you gotta have a good name to go up on the block that I went up to, right? I mean, I didn't know Ron for 50 years. Now, I'm sorry, for definitely 40 years, right? For 40 years. He was a big brother, and he got a huge name in this game, right? But he was always a good dude. And again, man, sometimes it was a life or death situation, right? Ron have you fight the one-on. He have all the young people fight the one-ons, right? No guns, no knives, no none of that, right? So it's people like him that saved a lot of people's lives, right? Okay, so let me take you into the building, right? I'm gonna show you some other locations, right? Nobody's gonna show you this location, these locations. You watching it live on Baba TV. Castle Hill, the prequel to Sex, Money, and Murder, right? Frisky. I'm gonna call it Frisky. And there was a lot of dudes. I'm not gonna mention the dudes. Sometimes you want to be mentioned, but then you don't want to be mentioned, right? Because you know what? The feds is still at work trying to tie up loose ends, right? And so I'm just gonna try to talk about the people that's incarcerated, or the people who rest in peace, rather than talk about the living names or I might talk about the innuendos. All right, so here you go. Family, this is Castle Hill, right? You got a lot of choices, but you ain't got no choice, right? When you're growing up like this and this is your neighborhood, right? What kind of choices you got? Now, here's the thing. This is the problem with the Bronx Democrats, right? Vote Democrat. Bullshit. You know why? You know why? Because Castle Hill been like this, man, since the late 70s going on the 80s. It looked just like this. Where the money at? Where the money at, elected officials in the Bronx? Why you always making excuses? But you know what you're doing? You're putting it in your own pocket, right? You're not serving the people. And so that's why a Republican can't win, because the Democrats, you simply ain't doing your job, man. You simply straight up robbing us. Look at that right there. This is a major project. This is a city-funded project, right? And at nighttime, man, it's full of rats, man. And so when you see young dudes growing up on the block, right, they trying to get out. They trying to get out. There ain't no jobs for them, man. What's a summer job? You know what a summer job in Castle Hill's like? Summer Youth Corps? Summer Youth Corps is coming out here every morning and picking up Pampers, right? You don't see the Pampers, but picking up Pampers and underwear and condoms, right? You take a summer job in the Bronx, that's your job, right? Picking up underwear, right? Tampons, right? Dirty diapers, underwear, piss bags, right? This is Castle Hill. This is what America has for us. So when you listen to these people talk about that we moving forward, right? That the original sin was slavery. Nah, this is still slavery. This is slavery. This is Brother Reggie on location with Baba TV. Fire every goddamn time. I'm gonna show you what a Castle Hill project looked like, man. They done changed it up a little bit, man. They got more cameras and stuff like that, man. Okay, now check this out. These are terraces. You see these things right here? These are terraces where you could come out with your family, you could sit down and you could see the block. But yo, check this out. Man, since 79, 80, they closed the terraces. You need a permit to come out in the terrace. Now, you're not gonna come out here and have a picnic, because you never know who you're gonna meet, but the city closed down the terraces, but it was all good for white folks, right? That's a violation of public accommodation, right? It's a violation of public accommodation. It's discrimination to close it down, but they could do it. They had a rationale. So for years, we would be paying our rent, but look at our quality of life. Now, there was a way to get inside. You would climb in the windows and you sit down, and then sometimes you would sit down. A crew of people would be sitting down and they might be smoking and drinking, right? But then when the police come, you can't get out because you would have climbed up in the window. So this is 2175 Lacombe Avenue. This is my block. This is where I grew up. This is what I saw every day until I was rescued by the black struggle. Rescued by Dr. Leonard Jeffries, and my family was able to move out of here. I seen this every day. Look at this, right? So let's go in. Now all these projects look similar. Moreland, Soundview, Bronx River, right? They all look similar, but I'm gonna tell you how this went down. How you doing? So over here, you come in on a Friday night, Saturday night, Castle Hill, there's a dice game going right here, right? Over there, somebody might be selling drugs. On Monday, Tuesday, something like that, Wednesday, we used to have sometimes the housing, a tenant patrol, but the tenant patrol, it was a good thing, was family, it was our parents. It was our parents, and they would sit on the tent patrol. They would try to do the best that they could. But once you walk in this building on a Friday night, somebody might, if they see you, they say, yo, who you, where you going, right? And you say, yo, you might be dating a girl in this building. That's a no-no. That's one of our sisters or somebody we interested or our family members. She not here. Yeah, I just beat her. She just beat me back. She says she here. She not here. Now, then you make the mistake. You want to disregard. Now, everybody done heard you say. That means if they say you're not here, that means don't go to her house. That means don't go to her house. Come on, ride out with me, Baba. Now, this is 2019. we gonna ride up to the 12th floor, Baba. Right? We gonna do it. We gonna do it lovely. Right? This is what you got to live in the projects. You got that? Right? Now imagine. Now at the same time, at the same time, there could be pit bull shit, right? There could be human shit, human piss, and basically, if you were stupid enough to go in the building, they would bang this light out, right? After you go up, when the elevator comes down, they bang this light out. It'd be all black. So when you press the elevator, you get into a black elevator. You get into a black elevator, and you're coming down, right? Because they told you that person's not here, right? That's just how it happens in Castle Hill projects, right? Now I grew up. This is what I grew up with. A lot of kids lost their lives. They used to climb up on here. They used to climb up through here. They used to try to go on the roof and think that they funny and be acrobatic and stuff and die, and simply die. But I'm taking you, Baba, all the way up to the 12th floor. I ain't gonna go to the roof because they got cameras and stuff. But basically, this is what the 12th floor would look like, right? Castle Hill. Now let me tell you something. In the Castle Hill, there's 2 staircases that go directly outside, and there's 1 case that does not go outside, right? It's what we call it the pissy staircase, and I'm gonna show it to you from the bottom, right? But this is where we used to go as kids, right? This was our playground. We go to the 12th floor. We go to the 12th floor, and we come on this case right here. This is the metal case. It's the metal case right here. Now, the metal case is the second safest case, right? And we would go up to the roof. Can't go over there because there's cameras. But we would go up to the roof, and that's where we would find our first girlfriends. Now, look over here. Look over here. Now, this is the view that they cut us out of, right? So we would have this view right here if we were on a staircase. So it wasn't bad, but it was only here for the white folks. But it wasn't here for us, right? There's Parker Daycare. There was a big scandal of molestation there in Parker Daycare Center. And yeah, my sisters used to go there, right? There's the Whitestone and the Dog's Neck Bridge. All right, so we're gonna come over here. Okay, so now this is what they do. So you can't get access to this. You can only get access to this if you were small enough that you could climb through here. But they changed this. So we used to jump. We used to push this up, and we used to be able to jump in. But they closed this down. So this is a lack of public accommodation because people are paying their rent, but they can't get in here. All right. So this staircase right here, I don't want to go through there because there's a camera, right? But you can smell it, Baba. Come here, come here. You can smell it. What you smell it? What you smell? Yeah. All right. So now this is the piss case. This is the piss case, right? So we have a piss case, and then we have the regular case. I don't know if this is even open. Right? So we spent our childhoods on these cases, smelling like this, right? Smelling that. But we that's where we found our first loves and our girlfriends. What kind of people grow up like that, Baba? Right? They make them savages, right? And we were savages, right? So I lived on this side. I lived on this side on the second floor, the last door down. And let me just tell you, what happened was, if you had a sister, or if you was a woman, if somebody liked you, they'd be out here smoking and drinking, right? And you come out here to incinerator. You got to pass over the incinerator, right? And then basically that's where they try to talk to you, right? And basically you have to have your wits about you, because in 5 seconds, you could be there, right? Or you could be there, right? And the rape don't take no more than 4 minutes, 5 minutes, right? And so that's what our queens lived through. So the men grew up as savages, and the women grew up as warriors. Shout out to the queens of these projects for the shit that they went through. And that's white supremacy that did that. That's white supremacy. Emergency calls for police, all right, dial 911. There's a video surveillance system. When I was growing up, there wasn't a video surveillance system. That's just to capture you after it. But they still cooking you. They still cooking that violence, cooking that despair, cooking that attitude. Because real people live in projects like this every day, right? Every day. I still got friends in this particular building. Live every day in this project under these conditions. All right, so hopefully we back. Hi, how you doing, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Right. So we are. This is how Castle Hill is, and people make a life out of Castle Hill. Today's Sunday, people in their Sunday best and doing their Sunday thing. But people shouldn't have to live like this, especially when it is public money that we pay our taxes for. So when they don't want us to vote, right? And the voting that we do, right? We're voting federal. We should be voting local. But when we vote local, they don't put in the services for us. But they lie, right? They lie. And people try to make a living out of this. Trying to make a living out of mud. If the elder wasn't in here, I tell you, I use another particular word. But we're still proud people. This Castle Hill Projects. So let me show you a little bit more Castle Hill Projects, and then we're gonna get out of here. All right. So this is where the piss staircase leads to. Piss staircase leads to this, right? This is the regular case. This is the regular case. So if the elevators wasn't working, you would have to take this case all the way down, and it would take you outside, and this is what you would see outside every goddamn day, right? The incinerator room and all of that, and the garbage, right? When I was a child, I buried all my pets right there. All my pets. This was the pet graveyard right here. All right? And so over here, this is your only way out. Your only direct way out. If you can make it here, if the police come or somebody trying to murder you, if you can make it on this case and make it outside, right? You got a shot. This is the only way, direct way out. So when the police came, if you could make it out here, or you would have to jump through a window, you would have to go to like the second floor, go to somebody's apartment, and then jump out, you might make it out. And this is the rest of what it looked like. I grew up, when I first came here, as a child, man, I went from hopscotch to skellies, then we did run, catch, and kiss, hot piece and butter, right? And then it was all the other type of games, whatever the other games was. We did go to school. We tried to go to school. I did very well in school. School helped save my life because I realized that I was kind of intelligent, right? And I stayed in school as much as I could, as long as I could, because coming home, as soon as we come home, you'll be walking from school, you see your crew out here. Certainly on a Friday, Saturday night. Yo, what you getting into? Yo, put your bags up. Come down. And from then on a Friday night, Saturday night, it would be the greatest adventure of your life. It could be jumping in the cab, jumping out of a cab. It could be robbing a cab driver. And it could be going to a club. It could be selling drugs. It could be, of course, robbing somebody, shooting somebody, stabbing somebody. This was our life in Castle Hill. So for Brother Reggie to make it here, right, you could laugh at me. You could laugh at me if you want, and you can act like you something that you're not, but this is where I came from. And you know who saved my life? Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor James Small, Dr. Ben, and Dr. John Henry Clark, and Professor Edward Scopey. Because they said to me, because Dr. Jeffries used to take me home. He taught me how to drive. So he used to take me home from City College here when we worked late nights, when we was working on things like the Diop book, Civilization of Barbarism. And we'd be there at 3, 4 in the morning and doing other activities. He would sometimes take me home instead of letting me get on a thing. And I would go home. But one day he said, listen, if I give you an opportunity, right, I'll take you to Africa. I'll let you see the bigger world. Will you really consider changing your life? And I thought about it. And I took him up on his offer. And his offer. In '86, I was in West Africa with Dr. John Henry Clark. I had a life-changing experience with Dr. John Henry Clark. From these projects, the next year, I was in Kemet in '87, right? Now, I went to college, but it was Dr. Leonard Jeffries inspired me to finish college in the career that I chose, which was computer science, and to outlive this. Every one of my friends is a federal convicted murder, robbery, right? Drug dealing, right? My closest friends, right? Or state, right? But a lot of my friends got federal cases, right? Because when they came down to get us, and I just told you how it actually started, and we were all childhood friends. They made a lot of people snitches, right? I was out of here, and I was a stand-up dude anyway, but I was off the block. I was off the block, and I was a stand-up dude anyway, and I decided, I got that opportunity, I decided what I would do and what I not do. Because we was built, a slim dude, a gooky dude, or quirky dude was built for murder, right? That right there is the boot building. Oh, we can't, Barbara, come out here. This is the legendary boot building. Why they call it the boot building? I have my ideas. Basically, it was really a derogatory term on the women that was here because we were poor. So instead of calling us calling a beautiful black queen what she is, they call her out of her name. And for some reason or another, that building of all the buildings seemed to be the most impoverished, right? And so, but out of that building came kings, man. Man, shout out to Malloy, right? Rest in peace, man. Malloy, if you ever seen Troy, you seen them Greek films where there's a gladiator, goddamn Malloy was that gladiator. Malloy would fight anybody from any project, anytime. Like if they say, who represents Castle Hill? It'd be Craig Malloy. Craig Malloy, right? Tall, lanky, about my size. I done sparred with him a couple of times. He was quick, he was fast. He was like the Tommy Hearns of Castle Hill. Shout out to Malloy. Oh man, we had some other great fighters, man. Milkbone from that building, right? Spence, right? From that building right there, Milkbone, man. Of course, you know, we had, we had a sleeper, man. And his name was Kenny Howe, rest in peace. Kenny Howe, his funeral was like last year, so man, they say he committed suicide, but we don't believe he committed suicide. We believe that somebody gave him an offer he could not take, and he would rather take the bullet than the offer, right? And so he died in a place not around here, near a cemetery. That's not like Kenny. Kenny loved life. Man, Kenny could go from place to place, state to state. Man, rest in peace, Kenny Howe, because Kenny was one of the best. And when he died, Castle Hill Legends came out for him. When Malloy died, Castle Hill Legends came out for him. Man, and then we had a big brother of mine, Spanish Tone. He lived on Screven Avenue, man. He caught a case with the Latin Kings, conspiracy case, man. But man, he was a good, solid, strong dude. He was he was our pathway, because some blocks up on Castle Hill we really couldn't go to, like Quimby and all of that. That was all Latin Kings territory, but Tony held us down. He gave us the pass, and we could rock out. We could rock out in that neighborhood. Shout out to the family, Little Rob and all that, and shout out to Tone's family and stuff like that. So, but part of my neighborhood was here, and this block called Screven. So we're gonna move out of here. But if you can make it here at Castle Hill, look over there. You look at the garbage. Zoom in, right? That's the back of the building. That's how they get that. That's how they give it up. That's how the politicians give it up. That's how they give it up in these neighborhoods. So they make us savages, and then they tell about, oh, they doing something. They giving us higher education. They giving us grants, right? Man, what's that gonna do when they don't even have the projects cleaned up? Now Harlem looked like this, but they figured Harlem has a value. So one day the lights came on, they cleaned it all up, manicured the places, and started selling them brownstones for $1 million, right? But Harlem looked like this in a way, in a way, but our projects look like this. So I done showed you Castle Hill Project. I showed you where I grew up. I showed you some of the people who still know me, right? I ain't trying to be nothing than what I am, but just trying to give back to the community. But I don't give it back to everybody, because you know some of y'all are selfish. Some of y'all like to make names off of other people. Show me where you lived and show me where you grew up, right? Show me how you give it up. I want to know who you was before you were these great people that you act like you are when you YouTube bombing. But could you go outside your projects? Can you come on your projects, right? Can you tell the truth about your projects? Can you stand with the people in your projects? Nah, you can't do that. And Castle, serious, man. People owe me, a lot of rappers have to come down here. Shout out to Just Ice. How do I forget about Just Ice? Man, Just Ice, man, he helped put Castle Hill on the block, man. Man, I mean, he did something spectacular, because again, we just thought we were black people, right? We didn't really separate ourselves. Shout out to Just Ice, shout out to Trey D, shout out to Style Masters, the Jam Masters, everybody. Oh man, shout out to Klondike, man. Shout out to everybody on the other side, the family of the Mosses, man. Man, shout out to Chink. Man, y'all gotta know who Chink is, man. Man, in the 70s, 80s, man, there was this big spread in the paper about how these dudes from Castle Hill took over the 6 train. They robbed everybody on the 6 train, and they try to say the ringleader was a dude with no legs on a skateboard, right? That's what they said. They try to glamorize it. But Chink did have no legs. He did ride a skateboard. I still see him, right? We still got love, but Chink lost his legs under a bus, right? And he lived in this. So how are we gonna make a life? Right? How are we gonna make a life? You know how long it takes to wait for a settlement, and you know how much money he probably didn't get, right? But he lost his legs, but they found him on the 6 train saying that he's robbing people. Chink and them were basically, man, they weren't stick-up dudes, they were panhandlers. He just panhandling for his needs, right? With his group, and they try to turn it into a robbery. But anyway, that's the case. Shout out to Chink. Right? Shout out to everybody that ever lived in Castle Hill that was a stand-up type of dude. And a stand-up female, a queen. Shout out to them. So, come on, Baba. Let's get out of here. Let's go to another project real quick. We're just going to ride through the rest, all right? All right, so now we on Lacombe Avenue, right? So Lacombe Avenue is one of the major expressways to our Soundview projects, right? So down here is a lot of notorious blocks. They private houses, but don't sleep on them. And we're gonna come up this Olmsted. We're gonna go down one more block, and I'm gonna show you one of more. This block over here, coming over here, is Screven Avenue. This is one of the most dangerous blocks ever. Right down here, Baba. Make a left. Right down here. I'm gonna tell you why this is one of the most dangerous blocks, right? Because this is where the bodies would end up, Baba. You see over here on these right here, this is what we call the bushes, right? Let me see if I can get it right here. This is why is it making that noise?
It's for our automatic focus.
Yeah, this is what's called the bushes. And so the bushes, inside there's water and all of that, right? So the bodies will end up there. And right now they kind of like make it in the park, right? And I'm definitely, everybody knows I got rules, so I'm definitely not gonna photograph any of these houses, because you already know, right? This is one of the most famous and dangerous blocks in this neighborhood right here. In general, good people, beautiful people, and they my family, right? Man, shout out to Tone, shout out to Short, man, shout out to Steve, man, shout out to man Paulie. We're gonna make a left here, man, and shout out to my little brother, my strong brother Noonie, right? Right? So those names, man, some of those names y'all know what it is, right? Y'all know what it is. And so when I was growing up, you know, one of the things you had to do is you had to align yourself with a family. And some of those people were my family, and we grew up together, you know what I'm saying? And we took care of each other, you know what I'm saying? We went from the meek to whatever, right? So we're gonna keep straight down one more block. We're gonna go to we're gonna get on Olmsted. We're gonna take Olmsted down, and we're gonna get on Randall, and then we're gonna go straight down to Soundview projects, right, and everything else in between. But this is the front of the Boot building. Boot building had a terrible story when I was growing up, man. One of my childhood friends was standing out front of the building, and another childhood dude threw a big branch, and it hit, I think, Kevin in the head, and that was the first murder. Make a left when you get a chance. The first major murder. The other major murder that hit us hard was Kenneth Pierce's murder. He died in one of those stores that we was up there, that deli. He died in there. He got shot with a sawed-off rifle. He got shot in the head. And the Pierces was my family friends, and they were friends of mine. The Pierces are a strong family in Castle Hill. We just, I don't know if you saw those rocks on the right-hand side. No, keep straight. We're gonna keep straight all the way down. This is Jamie Towers. That's where the sister was murdered with the police. The sister, a mentally ill woman, was murdered. This was our only outlet really over here. It was Kips Bay Boys Club over there, right? And this is a school I went to, 182. But this Kips Bay Boys Club right here, this was our outlet. There's an opportunity to go camping and stuff like that, man. But you know, it was open every day. But you know, you can only do that till you're 14, 15. Now slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Let me see where I am at Bolton. Let's keep it going. All right, so we on our way to Soundview projects, right? You know, Soundview projects is the other part of Sex, Money, and Murder. And I ain't gonna talk about nothing that I don't know about. You know what I'm saying? I knew Ephraim in them, but I knew who the twins was. I ain't know Pete. I ain't know Pete directly. Everybody can't know everybody, right? But I ain't know him directly. But this is let me see this street right here. This is Taylor. All right. So now we in Soundview section, and then so this was a competing project of Castle Hill, and they became the lions of the game. They became the lions of the game, no doubt about it, right? I guess they had a better model and a better system. We were more in Castle Hill, more kind of like independent business people. They teamed up, right? And man, Soundview projects is strong, man. Let me see. I knew one of the dudes early that I knew that got murdered. Kevin Carter. He had a brother named Bumpy. Went to school together. Kevin, he ain't make it. Young and early, too early for him, right? He was supposed to graduate high school with me, didn't make it. Soundview, there was also a big thing where they killed. All right, so coming up on this corner right here, this is a famous corner right here. This is Commonwealth, I think. Over here, let me just see this here. Oh yeah, over this side right here. Let me see right here. Right there is the legendary. It used to be the legend. We're gonna keep straight down, but it used to be the legendary. Let me just slow down, Baba, right here. Yeah, right in that area right there. I'm not gonna get out. That's not my side, right? This is not my side. I'm not gonna get out, but I'm gonna tell you that's Cozy Corner. So now we in Soundview projects. So this is the home of Sex, Money, and Murder. You see, welcome to Soundview projects. And I don't know if I don't know if I could zoom in, Baba. Yeah. Welcome to Soundview projects. So we're gonna make it right. We're gonna get out of Soundview, right? But this is this is the home of what they call Sex, Money, and Murder. This is location. This is live location for you, Baba TV, right? Ain't nobody gonna show it. Ain't nobody gonna give it up like this, right? Ain't nobody gonna give it up like this. Soundview, similar to Castle Hill, very ruthless, very strong, very proud, right? Shout out to Soundview projects, right? For the better and for worse, right? They just dealt with what they got, right? So we're gonna keep straight down. I mean, they handled what they got, and that's what they got, and they took advantage of what they got, and it all came crashing down. But it's a huge project. It is also the home of a very famous thing. You can look it up, the Thanksgiving Massacre, and that's where Ephraim got murdered, and one of the twins got murdered over whatever it was going on in Sex, Money, and Murder. You know, but Ephraim, he lost his life there, and can't figure out why he lost it, but he lost his life right there. And you know, we were all I don't say good friends, you know what I'm saying? You get a passport, you know, can go from one place to another place, and E would be a dude that'd be like, nah, he alright, I know him, he alright. Otherwise they run up on you, right? But E, if he knew you, he would let his people know, stand down. A lot of names out there, a lot of names in there. You know, I mean, you can read the stories on Sex, Money, and Murder if you like. You can read those, but there's a lot of names out there, so I don't have to shout them out. But they from that. You want to see where they from, right? Now, me, I ain't gonna get out with no camera. That's not my neighborhood, right? Now over here is we getting into Monroe projects, right? Now Monroe projects is the other project. We gonna go right. If we can, and then maybe we can take a U-turn. Just huh?
I ain't never seen try it now. That ain't no fun. I'm gonna go straight.
No, we're gonna make a U-turn.
That's the autofocus. It's supposed to do that.
All right.
That's moving back and forth, focusing it. That's okay. But that other noise, he ain't never did that. It might be hot. Over, but usually the heat marker come up if it's starting to overheat.
All right.
I don't know. I might have to take the lens off and clean it.
All right. So sorry to do it like this, but this is location. It's quick location. So over here, right here. Okay. So this is the Monroe. This is the Monroe. How can I say up top? This is where they did work here, the barber shops and all of that, right? It would be right there, that area right there, Monroe. Okay, bear right. So now we're gonna go Story Avenue. We're gonna come up Story Avenue, but we at the legendary Monroe projects. Now, this is Welcome to Monroe Houses. Yeah, Welcome to Monroe Houses, right? So this is Monroe. I don't know why they call them houses. Are they houses, y'all? No, they PJs. Shout out to Chipper. Shout out to Chip. Rest in peace, Cayenne. You know, Todd Smith. Rest in peace, man. Shout out to the Crazy Eight. The little Crazy Eight, man. Shout out to them, man. Yo, this is the Monroe Community Center. That's where, man, please, slow down, Baba. Don't get no ticket over here. Right? This is Monroe. This is how they give it up. They used to sell the work under what they call those the breezeways. Those little passages right there. Those are called breezeways, and they used to sell the work over there. And we going over there to two areas over here. Shout out to Face, man. I'm gonna say his real name, Kirk Martin. He lived on Theriot, right? He lived on Theriot right there. Face. Shout out to rapper MC Face, right? Y'all got to give it up for him, right? Kirk Martin, man, a musical genius. But y'all see him working the club sometime as a bodyguard. Now we're over here. This is Underhill. Now we're gonna go to White Plains Road, right? White Plains Road, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna go all the way down to Boyne, and then we're gonna go to Bronx River, right? And then we're gonna end this. We're gonna end this episode. But why am I talking about all of this? Because you know what? This is what our people gotta go through, Baba. Our people gotta. This is what makes you, right? But we don't have to go through this like this. But we are people that can go through this and then they come out and be somebody, right? That's the and join and to help people. You know, I mean, Ron and I'm gonna tell you, man, I helped one of my childhood friends. I gave him 7 years back on his case. 7 years back on his case. Cause why? Cause I found the right cases that matched up to his situation. Yeah, we're gonna make a we're gonna make a right. We really want to make a U-turn, so let's go to a shopping center and come back. So this is White Plains Road. Now, when I was a young kid, I used to work out here in one of these trucks. You see this truck right here? I used to work out here in one of these trucks. I used to sell with my family, the Browns. Shout out to Mike Brown. Shout out to his father and the rest of his family, his mom, Clara, and shout out to Diddy and all of them. Shout out to the Brown family, but they gave me an opportunity to work in one of these trucks, and we used to sell jeans. To sell jeans, Levi jeans, and all of that, Lee jeans, and all of that. And he gave me an opportunity through high school to work out there, and then I met a lot of people, you know, but you know, it was a job, man, and it was a good job, man. So shout out to the Browns family. Oh shoot, there's Park Lane over there, man. Shout out to Park Lane. Oh, you know what? You know what, Baba? We're gonna make a left. We're gonna go to Parkchester, right? We're gonna go to Parkchester. This is the location. So all of this, all of this is in the saga of the prequel and the story of the projects. Sex, Money, and Murder is just what it is, a good title because that's what happened around here, right? But there's a lot of good things happen too. Family, survival, sacrifice, right? A lot of those good things happen, right? So, but you know, people gonna care about sex, money, and murder. So I'm gonna give them that, Bob. I'm giving them the locations to what went down in the 80s and 90s in the Bronx, right? I'm giving it up. I'm giving it up. And I'm not trying to damage anybody, not trying to talk dirty about anybody, but there's a lot of confidential informants, a lot of snitching, a lot of dirty deeds to save themselves, right? We passing when we get to your right. All right, we on the Bruckner. We at the Bruckner Expressway. Over to my left is another project, Bronxdale projects. I don't know if you can see it, see some of it on that side. You're not going to see too much of Bronxdale. But Bronxdale was a project that was also a strong project. I ain't do too much anything in Bronxdale. I know Malloy, I know they have parties out there. So, you know, Busy Bee Starsky, Lovebug Starsky, everybody used to play in every project. So to be able to be a rap group, you got to play in every project, right? Bam came down here. Bam played in every project, right? Castle Hill, not as much, but he played in Castle Hill. Monroe was the biggest project of all the parties. Where we just passed, that was the biggest project. So we down here. I went to school down here, 125. I went to school at 125. We also approaching, you know, the blocks with Jennifer Lopez. She grew up on this side of the block. Jenny from the block. Shout out to Jenny from the block. She one of us Bronx babies. She grew up and she got out. It's incredible how that sister got out of this and made it so far, so big, took so many chances, right? She's a real Sister G, right? She made it out. I'm gonna shout out to her. But you know, a lot of other people. You know, Robin Gibbons lived down here. Gibbons lived in Colgate, Boynton. But I'm gonna just show you Parkchester, and I'm gonna show you Parkchester for a reason because you know there's an episode in the writings of Sex, Money, and Murder. There's a restaurant down here called Steppins. So I'm gonna give you a location. All right. So we back in Westchester Avenue. It's the first time we hit Westchester Avenue. And we on the Parkchester side. So, Baba, we're going to make a right. I think. Yeah, we're gonna make a right here. Now all these streets, man, I done drove, I done walked, man. I done did good things and bad things on these streets, right? So I know these streets. I know these streets pretty well, right? So Parkchester is a funny place. In the story is because every neighborhood, Castle Hill, Bronx River, Monroe, all the grimy projects, right? If you wanted a beautiful woman, you would go to Parkchester. You would go to Colgate and Bollington, right? For some reason, some of the how can I say, most pleasant, beautiful women. Not that saying that the women in our projects, because I'm give it up. I'm not gonna say that, but these women were a little bit more subtle, right? A little less streetwise, not grimy, right? Didn't know all the tricks of the trade, and you could fall in love. And Parkchester, we're gonna just drive down Parkchester for a second, and we're gonna get out, and then we're gonna find our way to maybe Boynton, Colgate, and then Bronx River, and call it quits. So, all right. So these are always under the L's, under the train station. There used to be a movie theater here that we used to go to. Right there. Yeah, here. Shout out to the Bronx politicians. Shout out to the Bronx politicians, right? Right? And y'all want us to vote Democrats, right? Yeah. Shout out to them, right? The Republicans don't. I respect them more because they don't give a damn about us. But the Democrats lie and just take our money, right? I have more of a problem with a liar than somebody who tells you up front they don't like you, right? I got Baba TV on location, right? Baba, we're gonna go all the way around the loop. Stay left. We're gonna go all the way around the loop. We're gonna loop. Yeah, and yo, I'm not gonna look. There's other people that could tell the story a little bit better, be a little bit more fly with their speech, a little bit more crafty, right? But I'm doing it. All right, right over here, there's this restaurant, right there, right? Right there, right? Yeah, we're gonna go down there, but we're gonna slow down at the bus stop so I can get a good shot of that. Right? That's the Step-In restaurant. Now, Step-In restaurant is a funny thing. My father used to go there, right? That's how I heard about Step-In. Let's pull over here, right? But let's see if I can get a good shot, Baba. Yeah, Baba, you can get a good shot of that. Can you get a good shot? Now on the side of Step-In used to be kind of like a little lounge area, right? But so there was a restaurant, and to the right of it, right, is a little lounge. Now this is one of the stories that you read in some of the work on Sex, Money, and Murder, where I guess Pete saw, or Pete and them is, or whoever's saying it, they saw B.O., right? And they couldn't get B.O. out here. They ended up, I think, getting B.O. in Castle Hill where we were, right? There was a phone booth. I didn't photograph it, but there was a phone booth, and I think that's where he was shot dead in Castle Hill at this phone booth. Now this phone booth was a phone where everybody knew the number from. So if you was upstate, you was up north, and you wanted to send a kite down, you would call a phone booth, and somebody would deliver that message straight down. So these are more upscale. Now they're condominiums. It's well kept. You don't look like Castle Hill, does it, Baba? Huh?
No, not at all.
Huh? There's a Macy's down here, right? The lawns are manicured, right?
Businesses everywhere.
And
Macy's.
and I'm a pun this out. Because people who know me, who really know me, I'm gonna pun this out. There used to be a movie theater down here, but the roses would grow here, right? Unlike the other places, the roses, man, they used to have their own crew though, right? I ain't gonna knock them, but they had their own crew down here. They had the PC crew. Shout out to the PC crew, right? Shout out to the women in the PC crew. Man, I mean, man, these names might be true, not true, associated, affiliated, not affiliated, but known by. You know, shout out to Pam, shout out to Madeline, shout out to Rose, shout out, no, baby Angie wasn't part of that. Man, shout out to Antoinette. Man, I'm talking, some of the names I named, man, is Parkchester's finest and their friends, right? Those names are legendary in Parkchester, right? And they were just friends. It would be a beautiful thing to see any of those women that I just talked about show up at a party or a club, right? Just to dance with, maybe try to date or try to go to dinner with them, man. But shout out to the PC crew, and they used to hang out in this place called the Oval. We're gonna drive by, and then we're gonna get out of here. But this is where the gangsters used to come down, just kind of relax. Sometimes trying to find a woman that's weak, you know, or find a woman that's easy, find a woman with some upbringing, some training. So we're gonna go around the Oval, keep straight, and we're gonna keep, oh, watch this light, here we go. And we're gonna go completely around the Oval, and you know, there's the major avenues over here, you know what I'm saying, there's Union Point, shout out to Union Point, shout out to Metropolitan Avenue, right, shout out to that. There's a Castle Hill part of Parkchester, shout out to that. And this is a beautiful neighborhood, but the gangsters used to come down here to relax. Now there was a club, we ain't got time for it, but it's a club over here called Harrow's. Harrow's was a kind of after-hours spot where a lot of people used to, a lot of gangsters used to come from all the neighborhoods, right? And that would be a bad place to catch yourself, yeah, all the way around, to catch yourself in, to be at one of these places like Step-Ins and Harrow's, because somebody would get on a beeper, right? And beep somebody, you get a beep, and then you answer the call, and they say, yo, you know who's here? What's he doing? He's having dinner, right? And they get banged out. And that's probably what happened to Frisky. Frisky was in Sweetwater's. Yeah, he was out of town. He was what we call out of town all the way around. He was over there in, you know, Amsterdam, Broadway, in Manhattan. He was out the hood when he got shot. You know, I'm just trying to be careful to leave a lot of things out. There's a lot of names I want to say, but I can't even say the names because I just don't want nobody to kind of like connect the dots. So, you know, sometimes just mentioning a name to get you jammed up, right? And there's a lot of people, yeah, straight down. There's a lot of people I would like to mention because they legends, but I don't want them kind of connected in any way with any of this. All right, so this is the Parkchester. Now for us, unfortunately, the neighborhoods, they used to also come down here to rob. So there's a lot of stores to rob, right? You know, but to also to have relations, you know, to get out the grime, go shopping. But if you growing up in the neighborhood, if you was from any of those projects, you would come to Parkchester to catch a victim, to catch a vic, right? And that's just what it is. Man, I'm happy to be here today with Baba TV, driving his luxury vehicle. Put in some work, put in some miles for the people. Go from place to place. And I've been, you know, trying to tell Baba, come see me, Baba, because I got a story I can tell, and I can tell it in a way that's not going to jam people up, But this is the prequel of Sex, Money, and Murder. This is the location. I don't care who makes a film. If 50 makes a film on it, any of the major filmmakers make a film on it. If you leaving out this, if you leaving out any of this, there ain't no film. It ain't real, right? Where I said that, Baba, where we said that, you leave that out, it ain't no film. You don't go down Randall Avenue to Commonwealth Avenue, that ain't no film. You ain't telling a story. Right? You won't show Soundview. You don't walk in those buildings. That ain't a film. Sure, somebody else could do it better for me, more documentary, but I'm just doing it for Baba TV. Fire every time, right? I'm not doing it for no money. All right, so now we coming up to Steppins. So the story is that they was posted out here. They got a call. BO from Bronx River. We're gonna be all right. Was coming out here. They didn't get him that night. What? It's busy out here. It's a lot of police, right? Even the thuggiest thugs don't want to get caught. This is a place where you can't get caught. So right there where it says Zeros over there, I guess that was the club part right there, and that's Steppin'. So we're gonna go right, and we're gonna go all the way back down to Story Avenue, and then we're gonna come up. All right, so now we back on Story Avenue. We are in front of the two important places. One is Classen Point. Now these used to be military barracks that they made housing from, right? Classen Point. They're good people that live there, good families that live there, nice people, pretty women. Shout out to Lori, right? Shout out to Pam. Everybody know Classen Point, Pam and Lori. There's a lot of pretty girls I grew up with that lived in these projects. But right next to us is a notorious precinct, right? So we're gonna pass it. So this was the precinct where they ran all the operations out of, all the intelligence out of, to incriminate folks that they was targeting. So this precinct right here is probably the worst, right? I mean, the 43rd precinct in the Bronx is the worst. That's where they targeted. They might have taken out, man, 10,000 souls. Not Larry Davis in our neighborhood. They took out 10,000 souls. Murdered so many, sent so many to the penitentiary, right? I forgot to tell you, Seabrooks, who was the commissioner of Rikers, he came from Castle Hill. But go ahead, Baba. But the 43rd precinct is a murder precinct for black folks. They just targeted us. So these areas right here is Colgate and Boynton. I forget which one, but some of the prettiest women would come out of would live here. They had big apartments, big nice apartments. And Robin Gibbons used to live here, believe it or not, in one of these housing developments right here, one of these apartments. How can I say? They weren't as aggressive. It's a beautiful thing when the people's not as aggressive. Doesn't mean that they wasn't about their business. I mean, there was people that I knew that was real strong. Shout out to Master Rob, right? There was good families like the Vincents. They lived out here, man. All my classmates, a lot of my classmates in junior high school lived out here. Good people, beautiful women, pretty women in these sections.
Boynton.
Yeah, that's Lafayette. There's Boynton and Lafayette, and then Colgate. But nice people. I'm not saying that they weren't strong and ruthless, but I'm just trying to say this is new. All this right here, this is new right here. There used to be a big chemical plant over here. This is Evergreen. This is Evergreen right here. Shout out to Evergreen. There was a chemical plant out here, right over here. I'm waiting for them to try to build something on top of it, because I know everybody catch cancer. So we're gonna go down to the end, and we're gonna skip Bronx River. We're gonna skip Bronx River. We're gonna skip Hunts Point. We're not gonna do Hunts Point. We're gonna drive through Bronx River, right? Because all of it is part of that, that movie that's coming up one day, right? There's a movie that's coming up one day on Sex, Money, and Murder, right? There is a movie, right? And you will see a lot of this footage before it changes. I wish when I was younger I took a picture of Cozy Corner, but man, you couldn't go to Cozy Corner and take no picture. You just couldn't do that, Bob. You know what I'm saying? You pull out a camera in front of Cozy Corner, you either the police, you better be from a newspaper. Police, you better be from a newspaper, right? Or you posing outside because you're about it. Man, there's a, yeah. Oh man, I forgot. Who else? So now we on our way we on Bronx River Avenue. Right?
KRS-One.
Bronx River Avenue, and we on our way to Bronx River.
KRS-One.
You know, a couple names that made Bronx River famous, right? Bambaataa. Gotta shout out to Bambaataa. Keep straight. You gotta recognize it all, right? Poppy. Shout out to Poppy. Then there's Zulu Monk. Passed away, but shout out to Zulu Monk. And man, there's a lot of people in Bronx River, but I didn't really associate it. That's where B Stinger left Castle Hill, went all the way up here. Could you imagine that? B Stinger left Castle Hill, went all the way up here to Parlay. And there's some rules. You leave a project for another project, man, it could be problematic. And unfortunately for him, usually when you leave a project for another project, keep straight.
Yeah.
They make you do work, right? You know what type of work. Usually, what you call out of town. So you send somebody up, you hit somebody, when you from project to a project. You don't go from one project to another project for leisure, right? There's just rules, and things are bound for you to happen because you're expendable. You ain't got no family ties, right? So bad things could happen. So there's a high school down here, Monroe High School. In our area, I didn't pass by Stevenson High School, but that was the neighborhood high school. Think about Bronx River, like all of these projects were designed to create monsters. They're all isolated projects. You see how Castle Hill's at the end, Moreau is at the end, right? I mean, not Moreau, Soundview's at the end. Monroe was more in between, right? But Bronx River is one of the most dangerous projects ever. And we can make it right here. And y'all done heard the Poppy story, right? And I take the story as true, all true, because it's the nature of the nature of the beast, right? It's hard when you mention people to take sides, not take sides. But I'm from Castle Hill. I mean, there's right and wrong, but unfortunately, it's the life, and sometimes it's the life of what you make with your life, right? Some things you can't undo. Some things that happen to you as a child, some things you can't undo. You got to live through it, and you got to master it. So everybody plays their part. All right, Baba. So it's Bronx River. One way in, one way out. How you like that, huh? Look at this, Baba. One way in, one way. You try to run over there, Baba, what you get? A wall, right? One way in, one way out. I think we did the interview over here. I don't even think that park is here no more. Right? I don't think that park, let me just see. I think they doing some work. One way in, one way out. You ain't going far. That's what makes that's what makes it a dangerous project. You alright, Baba?
Yep.
You cool? Alright. You got gas, you ain't gonna run out of gas, right? Alright. So basically, we gonna keep straight down. We gonna take Bronx River south right here. Bronx River, yeah, maybe Bronx River south. And we're gonna get back over here. And watch this bump. Okay, you got it. Alright, so bang. We out of Bronx River. That real quick. This the escape route. Bronx River, famous for Arthur's Round Table. I didn't turn the camera fast enough, but they used their spot, their up top spot, right, was Arthur's Round Table, right? And that's the same as the Castle Hill up top, or the other spots that I showed you in the Cozy Corner in Soundview and in Monroe. I showed you those areas. So we on the Bronx River Parkway, and we going from Bronx River back to the side that we was. We can keep straight. And so, Baba, you on your way back home, right? Are you gonna eat or get some rest? What you gonna do?
I just go home and get some rest.
Make a Parkway ends. So we're gonna stay here, and we're gonna make a left, and I guess you'll drop me at the train station or something like that. So that was it, family. The prequel, Sex, Money, and Murder. I ain't gonna make the film. I just wanted to show you some locations. That's some important locations. All those locations that I just showed, if you're ever gonna make a film on it, you should make a film. I just watched some things happen, and I'm not glorifying sex, money, and murder. I'm not glorifying. I'm just trying to say is that was the life that they was given, and that's what they took. And they didn't have the opportunity that I had to get out. And even if you got out, you weren't going to be rich, Baba. It's still going to be struggle and sacrifice, right? Some people want to smell the roses. Some people that I know, they did well, right? They did their bids, they did their time, what was given to them, they came out, they still had some a little money left, raised their families as best as they can, right? It's the life that you're given. But the more important thing is that we didn't create none of this, Baba. We didn't create none of this. Right. What we got to do is we got to live through it. Keep straight. We got to live through it, right? It is our local politicians that's selling us out, that's feeding on us, sending us to the prison industrial system like this 43rd precinct, right? It's that, Baba. It's not the people. The people being taken advantage of it. People are being taken advantage of by the system, and the politicians keep lying. We gotta continue struggling until we can get people to represent us, right? In what I call black city plans, right? That is going to do the right thing for the people, right? And not for themselves, right? But all of these are farms to send people upstate, send people to the hospitals, right? Send people to the emergency room, send people to the failing educational system, right? These are farms. Do you understand what I'm saying, Baba? Mm-hmm. These are farms. These are chickens laying eggs for another generation of failure. And they know only a few people can make it out. Baba, you made it out from where you was. I made it out from where I was. I got a second opportunity to tell a story. This might be my gift. Tell this story. And this might be my last tour, right? I never know. But the more important thing is I'm trying to tell a story in a way that I'm not damaging people. I'm not damaging none of my comrades, right? Because what they was up to wasn't, they didn't create the circumstances.